I am super psyched to have her on. Please welcome to the show this week's guest, Patsy Goddamn Stevenson. Woo! I was looking at your Twitter yesterday, and I've seen some of your tweets before where you're like this constant presence of like police cars outside your house and shit. What is your relationship with the Met right now?
It started, obviously, the vigil and all that stuff. There's been incidences where I've noticed, police in my area and certain little things. I try really hard to be optimistic and not paranoid about these things because, you don't want to be. But when other activists have told you what they go through and what other people have been through and what activists go through with intimidation tactics and things like that from police, it's hard to put it all down to just paranoia and coincidences.
Right.
So, like down my road, there was a kid driving a motorbike. I say kid, he was in his 20s, but I just thought, oh, bless him. He's he's got pulled over by police. Listen, he wasn't wearing a helmet, so he should do you know what I mean? Yeah. He's doing something a bit dodgy, but it's none of my business. I don't care if someone's done something wrong or not. What I'm worried about is I don't think anyone, who's they're if they're, as long as they're not doing something really dangerous, but I think no one should be beaten up or thrown to the ground. There's certain things, that police shouldn't do.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, just in case, I'm just going to give them a solicitor number. That's it. That's the whole thing. So I went over and I said, you're right, guys. I'm really sorry, but I personally don't really trust police. So I'm just going to give him a solicitor number because I know police can arrest you for no reason sometimes or other things. I'm just making sure he's all right. That was it. As I started to walk away, the policeman was like, well, we don't arrest someone for no reason. I turned, I was like, oh, yes, you do. But I was just like, I don't know how to say this in a polite way, but I felt like the adrenaline rush into me already. And I was like, fuck's sake, here we go. So I was like, well, some of you do sometimes. And he went, well, no, we don't, not for no reason. I said, I'm guessing you don't know who I am then. And he was like, no. And I thought in my head, what a pretentious thing for me to say as well. Oh,
don't you know who I am?
Oh, God. But I just said, well, I was arrested at Sarah Everard Vigil, for no reason. I'm suing the police because of that. And he just went, all right, like that. And I was nearly in tears. And again, that sounds so every time I say something like this or tell a story, so the amount of people that never happened, that didn't happen. And it's okay, well, what do you want me to do? Carry a GoPro with me everywhere? And then I did film it and people are still saying oh, actually it's like this and like that. So after that happened, I keep seeing a police car parked down my road.
Yeah.
Literally I'll come out of my house and it's right in front. So I can see it immediately after I leave my house. And I just thought, one time, 2 times, bit weird. 3 times, this is getting a bit odd. In the space of 2 weeks, then it happened again. I started taking pictures of it as well and posting it on Twitter just in case. And I'm just maybe it's, in my head I'm thinking maybe it's the house. There's something going on at that house that he's parked right outside. And I don't know, something. I'm hoping it's something else. Why would I want police to be intimidating me? Why would that be
Yeah. Because I suppose the pushback that you might get from people, and I guess I'm playing devil's advocate here to some extent, is that if you are exposed to some of the outright crimes, but also just shitty conduct, and you're aware of things like the Spy Cops scandal, which if people are listening to this and they haven't read up on the Spy Cops stuff that happened in the Met, fucking go and read that book by the 2 Guardian journos because it's fucking terrifying. But if you're aware of all of this stuff, it's going to make you more on edge. And so then when you see a police car there or a officer down the road, you're going to maybe look for patterns where they might not actually exist. But because you've been traumatized to some extent, it's going to feel more visceral, more volatile to you, is how I imagine people would push back on you when you say that stuff. So what do you say to people when they say that stuff?
I can understand because you should question things online. And that's, that's always been my stance and everything. But I think you have to, this is the big thing. I'm actually going to write about this one day. There's a big, but what if? So that's what I always think. So, okay, let's say, for example, they're not doing anything. They're just parked outside. But what if they are actually trying to intimidate me?